What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another exciting episode of Your Icing Wrong, the series where I go on the search for the best soul sauce on the market. Welcome back for episode 2 of Your Icing Wrong. In today's episode, I will be comparing our standard Salon Care 40 Volume Creme up against Raleigh's Restoration Ice Cream. If you guys haven't already had the chance to watch the first episode of this series, I would highly recommend watching that first by clicking here. In the first episode, I go over the exact process that I'll be using throughout this series. If you are only interested in seeing the results of the video, then stick around. As with every single episode that will be on this series, I will be utilizing Salon Care 40 Volume Creme to try to ice the sole of this left shoe of this pair of Jordan 11 Win-Like 82s. On the right shoe, I will be utilizing Raleigh Restorations Ice Cream, and we'll take a look at these sneakers after 2 48-hour icing sessions in my indoor setup. Before we even think about icing these kicks, we gotta get them nice and clean first, so let's get down to the cleaning process. Again, guys, if you haven't seen the first video in this series, I would definitely recommend checking that out so you can see the step-by-step instructions and understand the process that I use when I'm icing kicks. At any rate, here you can just see a quick sequence of me cleaning the outsoles of these kicks, which is always the first step whenever I'm going to ice a pair. Now that these kicks have been cleaned, let's take a closer look at them so you guys can get a better understanding of what they look like prior to being iced. Obviously, you can tell that this pair of kicks has been pretty well worn. You can see the yellowing around the pods in both the front and the back of the shoe on both sides, and you can see that yellowing is actually pretty even on both shoes. I don't think that it's any heavier on one than it is on the other. This left shoe will be treated by the Salon Care 40 Volume Creme. This right shoe will be treated using the Raleigh Restorations Ice Cream. So this is our matchup today, ladies and gentlemen. Now that you guys have seen a nice close-up of this pair of Jordan 11 Win-Like 82s, it's time to actually get into the icing process. Just a quick reminder, if you guys did want to find out the exact procedure that I use during my icing process, make sure to check out video 1 in the series. Linked right up here, guys. All you gotta do is click there real quick, and that will walk you through the entire process that I use for icing my shoes in every single video in this series. And without further ado, let's get into the icing process. If you guys want a detailed explanation of how I apply my sauce, make sure that you check out the first video in this series, which is linked in the top right hand corner at this point. As far as cost is concerned, as per usual, a 32-ounce bottle of Salon Care 40 Volume Creme came out to $10.49, which is only 32 cents an ounce. The Raleigh's Restoration Ice Cream came in 2 different bottles, 8 ounces for $20.99 or 16 ounces for $34.99, and that comes out respectively to $2.62 an ounce or $2.19 an ounce. The sauce has officially been applied to these shoes, and it's time to get them in the ice box for 48 hours. Let's drop them off and let them sit, so then that way we can take our first comparison shots. It's officially been 48 hours. I got these Jordan 11 Win-Like 82s out and ready to get prepped up for the next round of icing. I'm gonna go ahead, get them wiped down, take a quick comparison shot, and then we'll get them prepped up for round 2. Honestly, between my icing sessions, I don't go too crazy with cleaning off the outsoles. I make sure that I have the majority of any sort of dehydrated sole sauce wiped down all the way, and I try to make sure that I get the majority of all the old sauce off the bottoms, but I don't give them a wash in the sink until after. Alright guys, so these Jordan 11s are officially wiped down from after the first 48-hour session of icing. Let's take a look at them. So both of these are actually still quite a bit more yellow than I expected them to be. I thought that they were going to come out looking really nice, and honestly they're still pretty yellowed. So this second 48-hour session is definitely going to be necessary. The left shoe here was given the good old Salon Care 40 Volume Creme treatment, and this one definitely got a little bit lighter, but you can see it's still pretty severely yellowed. Even up on the side here, that yellow is it is pretty in there, folks. That's for sure. Let's check out the right shoe here, and man, comparing the two of them, I'm surprised. This right shoe actually looks like it's a little bit more yellow. This shoe is treated with Raleigh Restorations Ice Cream, and it definitely looks a little bit better than when I first put them in, but honestly these are still pretty yellow. I guess we gotta prep them up for the second 48-hour session in the indoor setup. For my following icing sessions, I basically followed the exact same procedures that I did for the first icing session. The Raleigh Restoration Ice Cream is a little bit of a thicker material, which makes it easier to control while you're spreading it, and that's something I do really like about it. But I went a little bit heavier with the amount of sauce that I was using, since I wasn't quite as thrilled with the results after one indoor session as I was hoping to be. The second layer of soy sauce has been applied. We got another 48-hour session ahead of us. All we gotta do is wait until then, and we will check in and see what the final results are. Alright guys, these Jordan 11 Winlike 82s have officially been in the icebox for another 48 hours. That means that they've been icing for a total of 4 full days. At this point in time, we gotta wipe down all the excess soy sauce. We gotta clean down the outsoles of these shoes, and then we gotta take some after shots. Let's clean these bad boys off. During my cleaning after my icing sessions, I'm actually a lot more intensive and thorough. I make sure to use a rag or a paper towel to get off all the excess sauce, and then I use a Q-tip to get into all the nooks and crannies. Afterwards, I make sure to use any sort of sneaker cleaner with a stiff bristled brush to really make sure I get into all the nooks and crannies and get all the excessive sauce off. Alright guys, so let's take a closer look at these Jordan 11 Winlike 82 so you can see what the final product looks like after 4 full days of icing in the indoor setup. To be completely honest with you, neither of these got quite as icy as I was expecting. You can see that both of those sneakers still have a pretty significant amount of yellowing, and I'm going to be honest with you, I would have to say that the right shoe over here looks a little bit more yellow than the left shoe. Taking a quick look at this left shoe, which was again treated with Salon Care 40 Volume Creme, you can see that this shoe is actually looking pretty damn good. Now, like I said, there's definitely still a fair amount of yellow tint to it, but quite honestly, it looks a lot better than where the shoe actually started off. So even though this thing didn't ice out 100%, it definitely looks a lot better than where it started. Now this right shoe here, especially through this heel area and over on the lateral border of the shoe, it just looks a lot more yellow than I would expect it. This shoe was again treated with Raleigh Restoration Ice Cream. Quite honestly, I've used that product many times and I've never really had an issue with it. So I'm actually pretty surprised that this is still quite as yellow as it is. With a quick side-by-side comparison, you guys can see that this right shoe on the bottom here is definitely tinted a bit more than the left shoe on the top there. Pretty crazy to think, but quite honestly, in this situation, I think that Salon Care 40 Volume Creme actually did a little bit of a better job. So there you have it, guys. So I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have a more substantial result on either of the shoes. In the past, when I've used the Raleigh Restoration Ice Cream, it always seemed like it did a lot better than the Salon Care 40, but in this specific situation, it didn't seem like it did the job quite as well. Every single pair of shoes is going to ice very differently depending on the storage, depending on the amount of wear, the types of surfaces that they were worn on, the overall age of the shoes. There's like 100 different factors that can contribute to the yellowing of the outsoles of your kicks. Based off of this specific case study, if the results are going to come out looking like this, I would probably choose the Salon Care 40 Volume Creme just because it's so widely available and it's so incredibly cheap. In the future, perhaps I will give this a little bit more of a test, but I think for this specific pair of kicks, we can close the case, and the Salon Care 40 Volume Creme was completely sufficient for the job that we were going to be able to achieve comment. That brings me to another conclusion of your icing wrong. How do you guys feel about this project though? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and that way I can better improve this series to make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more informative for you guys. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It takes like 10 seconds to make those 2 clicks with your fingertip. As always, if you want to find any of the services that I have available or any of the products that I have available for sale, you can check out the website at www.sailboatsupplies.xyz. And you know where to find me on social media. That's at Sailboat Supplies. As always, thank you guys that stuck around until the cold, bitter end of this video. Your support means the world to me, and it gives me a reason to keep on making this sort of content for you. Thank you again to everybody that came through to this video. And you guys already know, I'm Sailboat, and I'm out of here.